Oh, hello there, my little peeping toms. Ooh, that was so close. I apologize. Nobody needs to see that. And welcome back to 31 Films of Halloween, Day 14. If you like this video, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Another Scream Queen 76. That's me. Today I will be talking about 1960s Peeping Tom. Now, this is the third time I have seen this movie. I don't know what happened the first two times. I don't know if I was in a bad mood, or Mercury was not in retrograde, or some house was not in a rising sun, but I was not digging it. It was not my cup of tea. This time, I loved it. Not to jump ahead, but it is a 4.5 out of 5 pumpkins movie. So, Peeping Tom stars Carl Baum as Mark Lewis. And Mark works as a part-time cameraman, film crew helper person, and the other half of his time is spent taking cheesecake photos. And not that kind of cheesecake. This is not the Golden Girls. It's for one of them little, girly magazines. And so, but Mark has some secrets. He is an introvert. He doesn't really go out very much. If he does go out, he does not leave home without his camera. He is much more comfortable in his own surroundings with his books and his movies. I mean, I kind of was expecting a cat to come prancing through his room there. Do not judge me. So anyway, Mark lives in this house where he rents a room where Helen also lives, played by Anna Massey. And Helen lives there with her mother, Mrs. Stevens, played by Maxine Audley, who, side note, Maxine Audley in this movie was phenomenal. I feel like she really should have gotten an Oscar nomination, but I don't make those kinds of decisions, so... Anyway, Helen is very intrigued by Mark, and I think it's the fact that he just keeps to himself, and she's just curious about him and his nature and why he carries this camera around. Well, Helen, I got news for you, girl. The reason he's carrying that camera around is because he's killing women. I mean, yes, and he's recording it. Stay away from Mark. He's bad news. Bad news. Get back on Tinder and find somebody else. But Helen befriends Mark, and they decide, to hang out with each other. And Mark just turns into a totally different person with Helen. There's joy on his face. He lights up. I mean, just a completely different human being. Unfortunately, Mark has compulsions. And as I said... those compulsions are not good. And he becomes responsible for the murder of someone on the set of the film in which he's working. And he disposes of the body. Unfortunately, said body is found because he wasn't very good about disposing of it. He put it in a trunk. I'm like, boy, they're going to find that thing. That trunk's going to be heavy. They're going to be like, what's in here? Feels like a body in here. And then they flip that lid open, and sure enough, there's a body in there. You do not plan well. Anyway, so the whole movie is basically about Mark's sadistic need to murder. And this need goes back, or actually started back in his childhood. His father was a biologist, and he used Mark as an experiment to see how fear worked, how it changed people, their reactions. And so basically Mark was trying to film this kind of reaction on women the way his father filmed it on him. This movie deals with a lot of hot button issues, including abuse, heredity, sadism, murder, and lots of repression. Repression here, repression there, repression everywhere. all over 365 7 days a week repression. The movie is stunning to look at. I mean, it's in color. It just pops. It's so vibrant. The cinematographer, Otto Heller, did a phenomenal job. In fact, the opening shot, I thought it was a painting. It was so crisp and clear and just wonderfully framed. This movie is also cited as the UK's answer to Psycho. And I can see that there's a lot of similarities. However, we don't really know a ton in Psycho about Norman Bates's relationship to his mother. We kind of just only make assumptions. Here we're given a more detailed rendition of Mark's plight with his father, and so we do actually feel sorry for him, even though he's committing these horrible crimes against women. Michael Powell, who's the director, his career kind of went down the tubes after this. Unfortunately, because once the movie was released, there was a lot of outcry and it got pulled from a lot of theaters. But Michael Powell is responsible for The Red Shoes, which I haven't seen. I've heard it's just another gorgeous film, but he also did Black Narcissus. And Black Narcissus, if you haven't seen it, is just stunning to look at. It almost looks like a contemporary film. Highly recommended. Just a side note. Anyway, Peeping Tom, of course, does not end well. I mean, how could it? All these circumstances and bad things happening. It is a somber film, but it is one that I think holds up really well. It's cited as the first slasher film, which, no, that's not accurate. There are actually movies that predate this that qualify in that category. So, Peeping Tom, 1960, 4.5 out of 5 pumpkins. So until next time, if someone comes up with a camera and wants to take your picture, you go, Mr. DeMille, I ain't ready for this close-up.